for one.
Yeah, I have another meeting after this.
Uh-huh. And I have three after this,
3?
and then, yeah, I'll get home at like 9.
Ew, I have just one after this, but I know it's going to be a long one, and I'm literally, like, in my mind, trying to come up with ways to not have to do it.
You did it! Oh, I missed this version.
I don't. Oh, God, I get to go see a doctor on
Okay.
Thursday. It's not recording, but it is recording.
You're recording.
Can I turn this off?
Do you want me to pause it?
You can pause it.
4:30,
Or-
Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with us. And welcome to Land Use and Planning. So right out the gate, I would say we'd review the April 27th meeting minutes, but those are not available at this point, so we will review those at our next meeting.
Let's see.
Title 8, Chapter 8, Use of City-Owned Land Amendments, and changes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull up the email I sent to you guys.
Oh,
I don't know if I actually attached anything, but just to refresh my memory of what we were discussing last week.
Kind of hoping I didn't.
all right, here we go. I'm pulling, well, I have
Oh, here.
ordinance,
Yep, so
I got it. Sweet.
chapter 8.
wrapping it up, go through it together. I'll just pull it up right now, and then we can make edits as we go, and then you guys can, we can present this to Dave and Dennison, and we might actually be able to have it up for vote next week for you guys.
Are you pulling up the, do you have the actual ordinance? Or,
Mhm.
okay, wait, I don't have one with blue.
It should be on page 3 of that one.
It's probably because it was in black and white when they scanned it in.
So this was Friday, April 24th.
Okay, wait, all right, so I was looking at the April 22nd one. Let me pull up this, those are agendas.
Oh,
Oh, that's just an agenda. Wait, you have an April,
Or just a couple things, really.
yeah, it really doesn't need much at this point. So we are at
It was 8.
960, right?
mm-hmm.
960. Okay, perfect. All right, so how do we feel about the whereas? Because we're just literally
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
pull
through each change.
Wait, hold. Hold, wait, first of all, I should probably be in the correct email. I'm not even on the right email.
Huh?
I was in my school email, no wonder I couldn't.
Oh, that makes sense, but you can find it.
Welcome to my life. Agenda,
Do you want me to just send it to you right now? and then-
yeah, do that, because I'm like all the way back down into April 22nd, I'm not.
Compose, syntax,
Thank you.
updated, copy, and I'll put you on here too. I planned ahead, I could just put it up on the screen.
It's okay.
Which is fine.
Okay, let me get out of my school email.
Good plan,
Don't
good
need-
strategy.
Don't need to look at that.
So the first whereas.
So the first one that was edited,
Mhm.
and I think it was the only one that we edited in there, sending, okay.
First whereas is.
Mm-hmm. So ordinance 960, the first, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereases in, the very bottom whereas. Maybe I should look at Dennison's copy, that might be better.
I feel like it needs an
I think it does, because,
and has no intention of.
Which one? 1, 2, 3.
6,
In yellow?
yep,
It is,
Oh.
it is
it has.
the intent.
Oh. Citizens freedom of speech and expression, and has no intent.
And, yeah, I was like,
There it
expression
is.
has no intent or and.
Okay,
Otherwise, no.
cool.
Where it is the intent of the city. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Next.
Next up, now therefore it be ordained by the City Council of Red Lodge. I didn't see any changes to section 1 purpose. I did not see any changes to definitions of building or adjacent property, authority, city property, city utilities, cost recovery fees, exclusive use.
Well, so wait, should we talk, something that is used by, okay, so just explain.
Basically just, we're going
I know,
through
the defining
whole-
exclusive use, I just want to make sure that is,
Sure, that's actually a good point. So something that is used by one person or group and not shared with anyone else, that's exclusive.
And
Sounds pretty
And
exclusive.
expressive activity has a pretty good definition too, I think.
Yeah. And then parade is good. Picketing is where we are having conflicts. So standing or marching, usually while holding a placard or sign in public space during a strike or demonstration. How do we feel about that definition?
Okay, so this is where
He had added the 10 people.
right, and so I looked it up, like, it came back with, I was like, why would you only have 10 people? And in the UK, it is not allowed to have more than 10 people.
Interesting.
That's where I was like, whoa, I was like, did you just, but it says UK.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, then the route guidance will start.
Hello.
Oh, someone's driving.
Left turn.
I'm sensing
at the
that.
end of the road, and then the second exit up the traffic circle.
Take the second exit, not the first.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Be careful.
Yeah, be careful out there. Sounds like roundabouts.
Recalculating.
Okay, so picketing, standing or marching, usually while holding placards or signs in public space during a strike or demonstration. Do we want to include something that says for work? Because specifically we wanted to open this up to where picketing wasn't just for labor
Right.
industries, like,
No,
I
because
feel
if
like
I want to go picket my son's 21st birthday,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I think we want the expansive definition that would include also
Yes.
labor.
Yep.
Yeah.
So cool, we're good with that, and then I don't know why apparently the description or reasoning that Dave had given me was he wanted to limit it so that way people would be required to notify us if there was more than 10 people, which is exactly what we're trying to prevent.
Right.
So.
right, and that was the whole conversation with the exclusive use.
Yes, yep. Okay, so we'll move on from there. Protest, a statement or action expressing disapproval or objection of something. Again, we didn't change any of these items. Didn't change when a permit is required, but we should probably read through that just in case. An event permit must be obtained and approved by the authority or designee for the following events, or if any one or more of the following circumstances apply. So A, any event that is requesting exclusive use of city property. B, any event that involves assembling or traveling in unison on city property. And remember, there's exemptions after the fact.
Uh-huh.
So,
Because I was like, well, wait, hang on.
right, but that's what these people are doing.
That's pretty.
Any event involving 75 people or more using city property, regardless whether or not they are requesting exclusive use. Any event on city property that involves the sale, giveaway, or distribution of alcoholic beverages, physical alteration of the property, sales of goods or services, and/or solicitation as set forth in subsection 885. Any event that requires temporary waiver of the city's ordinance prohibiting consumption of alcoholic beverages or possession of open containers of alcoholic beverages. The use of any sidewalks along Broadway other than by the adjacent property owner for the purpose of marketing their adjacent commercial business.
Okay.
Okay,
Now the exemption.
now we go to the exemptions, and this is where we get to what we're working on.
Oh, it's in green. Blue.
Yeah, it's in blue, bright blue, highlighted the hell out of it. So E, this is what is exempt. I feel like it's just good to say that ahead of time. Organized activities by user groups using recreational facilities under their memorandum of understanding with the city. And then we were going to remove groups that want exclusive use of a recreational facility holding an MOU with the city need to coordinate directly with the user group.
With the user group or with the city?
We're just removing that line.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
because
just
they already
completely-
have to talk to the city. If it's someone that's outside of that MOU, they already have to get a permit and talk to the
Got
city.
it. Yep.
And then it'd be the city's job to make sure that the MOU holders are being coordinated with. Yep. Okay. Happy,
Strike
content.
sentence 2.
Sweet.
Good.
Lovely. Next up, demonstrations or rallies involving solely expressive activity may be conducted on city property without a permit, subject to the restrictions set forth below. The event shall be conducted on a property that is not occupied or not exclusively occupied. This is where we needed to
Well-
add exclusive use.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not on property that is, or, excuse me, conducted on property that is not occupied by another permitted event. I
Ah,
think
perfect. Yep, that was the language.
permitted.
Thank you.
that would be the best.
Yep, I think you are correct. Good work on that. Okay, so that has been changed. I'm just gonna highlight it for our copies, so then that way Dennison can go
In different
through
colors.
and make edits and tell us about it, or tell you guys about it. But, a spokesperson of the event should provide written notice to the city authority of the date and time of the event and provide an estimate of the approximate number of people who will be participating so that the city may assess the need for additional public services. So this is also something where folks made note that maybe there needs to be a timeline or a time frame, and up to, I personally feel like in the specific use of exclusive or expressive activities, I don't think it's a luxury that we are given the opportunity to know about their event versus
A requirement.
a requirement.
The
But-
only thing I would think about adding to this one is the spokesperson of the event should provide maybe, comma, if practicable, or practicable, or
Yeah.
whatever. Something like that.
Feasible.
I'll start at the beginning. If,
I think we used practicable previously in the document, so we might as well be consistent.
yeah, I think it's practical. I'm saying those words.
Oh, it's like
Intingent. Certain, I feel everyone in the room like, she's gonna get it someday. Someday, she's gonna know how to say it out loud. So,
What,
yeah,
practicable,
yep. So, if practicable,
should provide written notice to the city authority.
of the date, time, event, estimate number of people of who will be participating, so we can make arrangements if possible. So I think that works for me. And then there was also, does it have to be written notice, or can it just be notice? So I'm also fine with just a phone call.
Phone call. Heads
Cool.
up.
Yeah. Carrier pigeon, however you find fit.
Don't
Hey,
need to
kids.
invent a new form for this particular.
Yep, cool. All right, number 3, the consumption of alcoholic beverages, physical alteration of the property, sales of goods and services, and solicitation are prohibited at the event, because that was not the intent, not for hosting a massive garage sale for free, which I'm also in favor of, for the record, but different cause. Any damages to the city property, maybe, and Dave wanted to have that say it is the responsibility versus maybe the responsibility.
Probably a good call.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine with me. Okay. To receive a permit, the applicant, and, I think these other yellow marks were from when I edited this the first go-around.
Kind of
When we were working on event applications 2 years ago with admin and finance.
like,
So this is my second time in this same ordinance.
let's submit an application.
Yep, okay. So no additional changes that I see through
Yeah.
here. Basically, until we get to insurance is where we start to see additional
Is there a reason why you
changes.
had fees?
Yeah, I think some of those other highlights are just old.
Marking for yourself?
Mhm,
Yeah, okay.
You can disregard.
Got it.
So down into insurance, B, the authority shall waive the insurance requirement if the event involves solely expressive activity. The applicant is indigent. I've been practicing this all day. Did I get it right? Okay. Well, then
I'm
we're-
like,
I'm only gonna say it once, and now I'm just gonna
I'm
skip
not
that
gonna
word
say
for the rest. If the person cannot pay the required insurance, so again, there was issue with this as well, in the fact that just because you can't pay doesn't mean you should be allowed, and I think where we can,
how were, I remember how they worded it.
the person or organization is required to provide such information and documentation as may reasonably be necessary for the authority to verify such status, The authority may deny an application for for status if the applicant fails to timely provide. I think we can just, instead of saying if the applicant fails to timely provide the information, I think we can just say that, they may deny the status.
The authority may deny an application.
Yeah. For indigent status. That good with you guys? How do we feel about that?
I feel like the staff's not gonna do deny it.
That's
a good call,
on them.
yeah.
It's just on them, and there's not really
Mhm.
guidance.
Yep.
I feel like
Like, is there a definition of indigent?
Thank you. Indigent. God, that's all I need is just like a little recording that I can just hit a button. That'd be
Destitute?
For the staff, to Jeremy's point, what's the definition of indigent, or, is it just a matter of them,
you
you
can't
don't have
afford
to,
it.
Can't
Yeah.
afford to pay?
Yeah,
Destitute, lacking of necessities of life due to extreme poverty.
Like it's the.
Broke, down and out, poverty stricken.
Right.
I don't think we're allowed to put it
Zero.
down and out,
The
but,
fee would be an undue burden kind of thing.
and I think,
It's a nice way to.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We'll make it a harder word. Necessitous.
Oh, God, no, don't do that to me.
Necess-
Stop.
That's terrible. I don't
Okay.
This is why I had to do speech therapy when I was a kid. For and a fee would,
You just say-
wait, what was it that you said just before, where if the fee would be
Would place an undue burden on the applicant.
Undue burden.
Okay.
Something like that.
undue burden on the applicant and insurance, and I think this is the other piece of it as well, insurance, because I think that one of the things that they brought up was what if it's a dangerous event that should be insured versus something that would be covered by city insurance.
I guess my thought, and still my thought, is that they would just deny those
Yeah.
permits, like, okay, you can apply without fee, but it's a dangerous activity and we're not allowing that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have catch 'em.
I mean,
Or activity
We're not axe throwing,
deemed,
sword swallowing.
what if, or activity is deemed to, not dangerous, I don't want to use that word, but something along that line of some, yeah, poses a,
My word count's done for the day. Good luck.
risk to the public,
Or to public safety.
yeah, to public safety, public welfare,
and
Yeah.
public property.
and public property. Public safety and/or public property. I think that will make,
They'll cover.
yeah, it gives a little bit of guidelines for the city staff of why they could say, no, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Juggling,
Yeah,
maybe not.
I mean, I also
Flame
maybe,
throwing.
yeah, knife throwing could be a good one.
Right, their insurance is on them if they're doing that.
Right, and if they can't get insurance, yeah, just don't burn it down.
Might
Okay.
be a good activity.
I think this does give an out in that scenario. So how do we feel about that? Feel better?
I'm good.
Feel
I think
good?
that's better.
Read it to me now. The authority may deny an application.
Oh, man.
Well, you just typed it all up. I want to make sure that it makes sense to you.
Okay.
Once you,
The authority may deny an application for status that the fee would place an undue burden on the applicant or the activity poses a risk to the public and/or public property.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm sure Dennison will change it later.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, it is objectively impossible to obtain insurance coverage as demonstrated by the applicant's submission of 2 statements from the independent licensed insurance brokers stating that insurance is unavailable. I feel like that might just be worth deleting.
I was going to say, isn't that the exact same thing that we just,
Yeah.
I mean, like Jody was saying, if
Or-
there's 2 statements saying, hey, this insurance is unavailable due to the
Yeah.
nature of it.
We can't insure this, then it's probably not an event we want to have.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the cases was that your group or your organization or whatever just can't, it's too loose. You're not formal enough an entity
Oh,
to
sure.
really hold insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a case of being impossible, but still something we would possibly allow.
Okay.
So just leave it?
I don't know how I feel about this one.
The two statements of independent licensed insurance brokers, I don't know, maybe,
Stating that the insurance is unavailable due to I don't want to say due to status, that seems like something.
or like
Right.
categorically ineligible to hold insurance, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is where
I'm gonna put a note
I raise my hand and ask Denison's opinion on that.
for Dennison and the insurance providers on council to look
Mhm.
at this. For Dennison and Jody
It's not so much,
/ Patty.
yeah, it's not so much the activity is uninsurable, like that we would deny. because
Yep.
it's ridiculous, but
Mm-hmm.
as a group is uninsurable for some reason.
Right, like if it's
Yeah,
Like it's just
too small of an like it's a
too
brand new.
small, brand new,
yeah.
just not official enough to.
Bunch of Girl Scouts don't have insurance. Like, I don't know.
They probably have.
They probably have great insurance,
Oh, so damn
honestly.
good.
Please review if the event is, when would this be? Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys discuss with them.
Okay.
Very, and review. Reword, we'll just reword that. Okay, I'm making someone else do the work. Good job, team.
Delegate.
Delegating, it's a good thing. I've just learned how to do that this year. New word in my vocabulary. Let's do this. Okay, I think that is it for chapter 8. Were there any other notes, comments, concerns?
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. Anyone in the room? All right.
Sounds like what you talked about doing before Dennison got to it.
Yeah, no, and then once he did, it got everybody all confused. It's funny how lawyers do that to people.
Make him color code it.
That's what I told him. And like, we used to have a really good system to where we would make edits and it would have everybody's initials by the edits, and that
Right.
worked out great. And I don't know what happened in the past year where that is no longer a thing, but, okay.
Word got worse or something.
I think it's more so there's a lot of folks that don't like using Word, and a lot of folks that prefer Google Docs or vice versa, and they just don't communicate well. Depends, yeah, that's all I got on that. But, okay, moving on. So we have the process for designating and changing the use of city-owned land. We wanted to review notes and discuss directive for the planners. So kind of based off what Dave was saying at the last
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, didn't you, we've made a whole list, didn't
We made a lot, like, we made
Yeah.
multiple pages of things, and I'm actually going to try and go live up here. So,
Okay.
Cinta, can you make me a co-host when I jump in? Bear with me while I get to the meeting.
I'll just roll over.
Just roll on over there. And then that way we can just pull it up on there. I think that would be the easiest way. Meetings.
Well, it's really popular.
Yes, it is. Correct. Okay, this is the link. Open this link, join this meeting. Make sure I go on mute, otherwise people yell. That's interesting. There it goes. Thing.
Oh, but
All right. No audio. Original sound for musicians, things I did not know. Seems it's getting better all the time. All right, I am in the meeting now. Oh, send request. Okay. Multiple presenters can share. Thank you. I think I am set on that. So let's just go to okay. Tight as we do this. Oh, that is the wrong, of course, wrong Google tab that I have up because I have multiple. Just gonna do the whole screen, way easier. Okay, this one, and view out of the way. Move this, drive.
What did you guys do to the screen? You reduced it.
Yeah, we're sharing Chelsea's sharing her computer on here to pull up her notes.
Yeah,
Are you?
can
able
you
to
see my
it?
screen?
No, you reduced my screen. I don't know what you did.
I think we just started to share, so I don't think, you're not gonna see me anymore, you're gonna see a desktop with like a,
Right, my screen is a little square now up in the corner of my computer screen. And when you hit share, it changed it.
I can read the document that they're displaying.
Okay.
Why can't I enlarge my screen?
I don't know. I didn't do anything to change your screen. I would double check your, settings for the layout.
Yeah, you might try double clicking.
They were fine before until you hit sharing.
Never double click on her.
You might try double clicking on the small square you can see. Might do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm not as familiar. I hope it works. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is our priorities. So let's go to actually, this is what I clicked on, but I got a little distracted. There we go. So this is something that we had started working on, and now we are going to be delegating it off to the planning department. So specifically, we were working on a process for whenever there's use for city-owned land, what that looks like, how we evaluate it, to make sure that we are answering all the questions and double-checking the impacts of what's happening. So we started with this flow chart of kind of the steps that it would take, and then we have notes of what criteria we want to evaluate for each event or each piece.
The one thought when I first brought this up was to look at it was, like, what's the answer that this is, what's the question that this is answering? So it is just change of use of
Change.
public land.
Yep.
Okay.
So essentially, this goes for anything as small as I want to put a bench in a park to I want to put a tire recreational facility by the creek, whatever. And that's not a real example, just really want to make sure that like, we all know that we're not doing
Mud wrestling facility.
Mud wrestling facility. This is one of our favorites because it's very obscure.
So
So,
I feel like it needs a title or something that would say change of use or
Yep.
alteration of city property or something.
Process
like
for
that.
review of.
so title being, it will need a title.
Mm-hmm.
It will need a definition of purpose.
Are you in a new tab?
I am in a new tab. I know. Can't trust me to do anything.
We got 5.
I got so many tabs.
I
This
was
is why
like-
we like, people are like, oh, you need to publish this. Like, this is all just scribble notes at
Yeah.
this point. So,
Title, definition of purpose. Okay,
And
wait, let me go
then-
back to the to-do.
and then we'll have the process of evaluation. So originally, I'm just kind of going back to that flow chart, because that's what Dave was wanting.
I was gonna say, read your steps.
Yeah, let's go to steps.
Go to
Good
steps,
idea.
because it has a little more layout here of
Yeah.
what we have.
So application process, this is kind of where things would first start. So you start the application, and each request would have certain criteria that we would ask to kind of help break it down into categories from there. So, for instance, we have phase one of this, like, application process, the letter of intent, the proposed land of use, proposed use for that land, who is applying for the use, the primary contacts, we know who we're corresponding with, and who we can start sending questions to. And then we are gonna do a quick vet process, and this is that breakdown of like, okay, what is the scale of this?
Change from the current use of the
project.
land.
Yep. Will there be permanent structures installed or built? Are there other user groups or impact for others? Will there be generated revenue? Does it comply with current zoning and ordinance? Any cost to the city or taxpayers? Will this create potential disturbance to the neighborhood? Is there potential for multi-use? Are there potential restrictions for the use? Estimated time for completion, time frame requirements for funding or completion. So if it is a grant and you have to have like shovels in the ground by a certain timeline, we need to know that. Time frame for usage. So I think that was more so specific to like what time of year is this going to be used? Is it going to be an all-year facility, or is it going to be partial?
Yeah.
Is it going to be 2 hours of the day? Is it going to be till 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, what's the hours of operation, if you will? Does it require bonds or financial guarantees? Does this pose public health or safety concerns? Does this pose potential environmental impact concerns? Does this align with the guiding documents, including master plans? Does it align with master plan studies for designation, the 2015 study? Or the designation, the 2015 study?
I don't
Whatever
remember.
that one is.
For what we meant when we
Yeah.
said that. I think that was the current designation.
Okay, so I think that's kind of phase one, and then phase two would be, if there's a yes to any of these,
Then it,
if there's a certain percentage of yeses, then it has to go into a more in-depth process. Or if you say yes to any one of these criteria, it has to go into a PAR.
What's a PA?
A PAR is a architectural review. What is the P for? Preliminary architectural review. Because one of those reviews will actually go through a lot of these in great detail. So this is more so where we want to make sure that these questions are included in any of the PAR studies that we're putting forward.
So is there any sort of like a percentage of these questions that then automatically trigger a PAR?
Yeah.
That's what I would want to know, because it seems like some of those should be grouped,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
We're kind of all over the place. but
Right.
Yep.
Some of them have way more
Oh,
impact
yeah.
on other people.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are
impact on
weighted.
dollars, and you just kind of wonder if they should be grouped,
Mhm.
and if you pass this, then you go on to this next section and
Yep.
this, and does this trigger a PAR?
Yep.
Because whoever's assessing the answers to these,
Mm-hmm.
like, who is that?
And that's exactly what we're trying to figure out. And so this is kind of where we got stuck. We knew what answers we wanted to have,
but where?
we just didn't know exactly the right channel for those to come through and the proper way to evaluate those. We knew that in our brains, like, there's certain things that we need to know,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to be the one to tell you, like, if you tell me, oh, it's going to need 50 parking spaces, I'm not going to be the one to tell you left or right if that's too much or not enough. That's going to be a planner. That's going to be Public Works. Like, okay, we're gonna need approximately 10,000 gallons of water a year. I don't know if that's too much, like, again,
Yeah.
things that we
Or
were
beyond that.
realizing as we started to put this together is like, okay, we wanna make sure that any project that's being evaluated, we can tell someone, like, this will be the impact to the surrounding neighborhood. This is gonna be how we inform the surrounding neighborhood. This is going to be the long-term benefits. This is gonna be the cost to the taxpayers over the next 50 years. Like, these are all the things that we wanted to be able to have answers to. We just didn't have a good, as we started to create the process, we're like, we don't know.
We don't have the answers.
Yeah, we don't have the right avenues to get the correct information, or even if we got the information, how we then say yes or no. And essentially, we were getting told to do the job of the city planner.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you just say there?
We were being told to do the job of the city planner.
Of a city.
Oh, okay.
And we were,
Which doesn't exist.
which
Yeah,
doesn't
You're right.
exist.
Right.
So now we have deflected to our city planning, our city planner, quote unquote, our contracted planner. And so basically now, before we have a meeting with him at our next meeting, we want to make sure that it's clear that these things, like, this is what we want and the expectation of the end result. We don't want you to just create a process for one scenario. It needs to be like a
Across the
step-based process to where we can then explain to somebody, if somebody comes to you and says, I want to do X, you can give them a clear avenue of what that looks like. Because too many people have been given the runaround in the past year.
So what I
Sure.
might suggest is, all of these questions are questions we, as the governing body, need to answer, ideally with the assistance of a city planner. But,
Correct.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the city needs to answer these questions,
Mhm.
and we can ask them of whoever's proposing the change. But I might recommend, like, further up, just kind of, like, who is applying for the use primary contact. So I would almost say the process should go, define the existing use,
Mhm.
define the change that's being requested, whether, it could be city council going, hey, we want to change this, or it
Right.
could be someone from the public going, hey, we want to use this differently.
Well, yeah, right, I mean, it says, the first one, is there a change for the use of the land, existing land?
Yeah, so proposed use for that land and whether that use is exclusive to a particular group, so that goes to that second one, who's applying for these.
Yep.
Because
And
it
then-
could just be, I want more picnic tables in a park.
Yep.
That's for everybody.
Mhm. Well, and I mean, I think that's where it kind of goes down to when you start looking at some of these other pieces. So where, are there other user groups, or impact for others?
Sure.
And impact for others might not be negative. It could be a positive impact where it's like, yeah, everyone could use picnic tables. Unless you're like, I want to put all these picnic tables at the soccer field, and now you're impacting them. You have a tennis court that's going in, and it's like, okay, really cool for the folks that play tennis, but for those folks that play disc golf, they're not super stoked. And again, just making sure that we're recognizing that and having those conversations of how can we then, and I think that's something that we could have in here too. So I'm gonna go down just a little bit more and get through this piece. We essentially said that there would be 3 options moving forward after that preliminary vetting. There would be application 1 for the least intensive projects, minimal or reversible alterations, limited community impact. So this is that example of I planted a tree, or
I put in a bench.
I put in a bench. I can move the bench if I don't, like, if we need to at some point. It's a semi-permanent structure. Like, having some sort of agreement in place that, yes, we're planting this tree, but if we decide that we need to build something of this level later, it might get chopped down.
Can we say limited infrastructure impact? Because I feel like
Yeah.
limited community impact.
That's
might-
fair.
Might have a great impact and a huge
Yep.
thing, but be
Okay.
a small change.
Okay, limited infrastructure, is that what you said?
Something like that.
Okay,
And then application 2, be the more
Yep,
substantial.
yep.
substantial
So-
community impact, and
Should
I'll
you put
say infrastructure.
substantial, yeah.
I mean, I think it's very subjective when you say something like community.
Agreed,
You know?
yes,
Like,
It is.
which community, which user group.
Yeah.
Whose community are you, we referring, yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
so infrastructure impact, permanent or non-reversible alterations of the land use, will require additional permitting, requires long-term management. We think of this a lot for like, in the parks, again, going back to the soccer fields, to where it's like, we have folks who's like, oh yeah, we're gonna maintain it forever, in perpetuity, we're gonna maintain this, we know better. It's going to be something that we're gonna have to mow those lawns someday or water those someday. So what is that long-term management to keep it at the level that it needs to be? So that's when application 2 comes into play. And then application 3, we didn't even start to finish this out, but
No.
requires substantial change of use. This could be, and it would basically be, it compiles on from the ones above, but then change in zoning would be one of those pieces.
Okay. Situations with like a silver strike or something. Like
Yeah,
Completely.
Fundamentally, like, alters.
yeah, ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. Fundamentally, oh God, I know how to spell. I can't pronounce things, but I generally know how to spell.
Fundamentally alters the land use.
Alters use of land, as well as
Whoa, whoa.
That's the large.
I was just gonna say, large
Just
scale.
need that.
Yeah.
surrounding areas, needs, environmental, and I'm gonna say environmental in a broad sense, not just nature,
I got you.
in the fact that environmental means the entire environment of that space, so,
Neighborhood, the-
yeah, the neighborhood,
Democrat.
the demographics, all of those pieces, so, not just nature, put that there.
And I would say definitely you need to include the economic
Yep.
impact on
Mhm.
those neighborhoods. Like, what is the
Mhm.
potential change to, you know, property
Value,
Yep,
taxes, I mean, you know, sidewalk needs, and, I mean, everything.
okay.
that, on section 2,
Mm-hmm.
would cost,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you see.
Like, is there a threshold kind of thing, is that what you're saying?
Right, will it substantially increase the cost to the city, or?
Oh, yeah, and that's kind of with that long-term
Long-term
management.
management.
But yeah,
That includes cost?
absolutely.
There.
Expense,
We kind of know the elephant in the room. And the future expenses for that could be substantial to the city.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yep.
I think also it's important that these build on each other, you know,
Mhm.
like, you know, I used to do, you know, really large scale event management, and there's off-ramps to things like this. You know, like a small thing has an off-ramping and it can just get going,
Mm-hmm.
but the next level down has to meet all the requirements of the one above it. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mhm.
And
It
it
gets
just keeps,
increasingly more complex.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, I think it needs to, you know, like you and I discussed months ago, like,
Mhm.
a concrete bench is way different than 17,000 square feet of
Yep.
concrete. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to look at them in different ways, like, we can't be less restrictive than, say, an HOA somewhere.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean? Like, we've gotta have a much bigger process than, if you look at how complicated some HOAs are.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like, this was too,
Yeah, and again, this is by no means, this is the original brainchild that is supposed to essentially flesh out into the substantial documentation. Like, when I look at application 2, I am picturing a full PAR review along with additional requirements that are put on by the city standards. And that's where I think that's what I'm trying to avoid right now with this general meeting. And even with the kickoff meeting for the ice skating rink, is I don't want this just to be the standardized PAR planning. And don't get me wrong, that's gonna cover a lot of topics. But there's gonna be certain Red Lodge city standards that have to be addressed as well. And that, I think, is what we're gonna call this Red Lodge city standards to include, or to review.
Can I ask one question
Mhm.
about that? So who is the applicant on the Red Lodge Ice thing? Is it Red Lodge Ice, who is a completely separate nonprofit, or is it the city of Red Lodge?
It's not the city of Red Lodge, it's Red Lodge Ice. We're not the applicant on this.
So that is the question. Like, how, if we're not the applicants, it very much seems like the city's pushing, you know, to get that done. You know what I mean? But it doesn't, like Red Lodge Ice, except for Tom showing up at a meeting and then Andy showing up at a meeting and saying, we don't care where it's at, we just want to skate. So, so that's why there was kind of the question when you were at the top there, like, who is the applicant? That, I feel like, is very muddy right now.
Well, in the case of the pool, there was a similar user group to Red Lodge Ice. It was, you know, I forget what they were called.
It's just the Red Lodge Pool.
Red Lodge Pool.
You have the
but it
Red Lodge
was-
Pool or something.
You know, they
Yeah.
were raising money to help fund it as well.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
a city pool now, and you have a
Right.
city employee, you know,
Mhm.
and I've been listening to all the meetings to catch up, so there's a city employee,
Mhm.
you know, like, someone to manage the thing.
Yep.
To train the lifeguards, you know, like, Willie's the one out there cleaning it out, you know.
Yep.
That very much moved into a city.
Yep, and,
And that's what we're,
and actually, the city pool had its own ad hoc committee through the city.
Yeah.
So that is one of the differences between the city pool and the Red Lodge Ice project, is we don't have that infrastructure here, nor do we have really the intention for it at this point.
Yeah, so I guess
So-
that's what I'm wondering, so like, the city's saying, you know, they wanna like designate, being able to designate use of a city-owned park,
Mhm.
but it's really for an independent user group, which
It's
we
not
only have,
exclusive.
It's not.
it's not
Yeah.
exclusive to them.
but we don't have another user group right now, right?
So,
The
no,
public.
there would be, yeah, there'd be the public, there would also be the
Boys and
farmer's
Girls
market,
Club, Boys and
yeah,
Girls
it was,
Club, like it's-
and I think that's kind of the difference of it, is you have a lot of these parks, and I think I'm gonna use coal miners as the example here.
Yeah,
To where you have city-owned land that belongs to the city, but in terms of the primary functions of it, it's not coordinated by the city, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And just because it's a city asset doesn't necessarily mean the city has to be the one who's managing it or pushing forward on the improvements. We're just here to help work with people in the community, no matter what their objectives may be. So, or not no matter what, but,
Mhm.
you know.
But on the same token, then in that process, the city provides funding.
Not always.
Not always.
I mean, one thing I'm gonna say specifically for the city pool, or not the city pool, but the ice skating rink, at this point, no funding has been expended except for, you know, city staff doing their job the same way that if anyone else came and wanted to use that park, they would have to be vetting it.
Is resort tax proceeds considered city
They're not being spent at this time.
or allocated?
So one thing to note with those allocations with resort tax, and then I want to get back on topic with this
Sorry.
because we are on a limited time frame. One thing to note with that is with city resort tax, when we are doing the budget, we try to set aside and allocate out for big projects that are likely not even going to be tapped. We do it per the request of the resort tax committee to have it budgeted. And a lot of times we over budget intentionally because we know that if we don't over budget and we end up making more, we have to give the money back. So that is, I'm not even kidding, like if we find out that, and this happened, 2015? To where we didn't budget enough money in the city budget for all of the resort tax dollars that came through. They had to then do a refund to the city people
Everyone knows.
of like, and it was something like, what, $5?
I think it was not even that. I think it
Yeah.
was like 3 something.
So we, at
Yeah.
this point now, way over budget intentionally,
As
not
a
knowing.
buffer?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
As a buffer, yeah. And so essentially, the reason that got allocated or budgeted for, I'm not gonna say allocated because no check has been written,
Right.
was because the resort tax committee was reviewing the previous survey and people wanting to see larger scale projects, and this is also per the recommendations of some city staffers, not specifically for the ice skating rink, but wanting to see resort tax dollars doing something besides pipes. Because people get frustrated
When they
when
don't
you have
see-
to invest in infrastructure and you don't get to see the
When
benefit.
everything's underground.
So in terms of that allocation, it was a soft budget recommended by the Resort Tax Committee. And that was something that was specific to the fact that we're trying to respect the fact that there is a committee putting together these budgets. Now,
Did you hear in that meeting, they were talking about, I can't remember if it was city council, I was listening to several meetings today. They said, just because we don't use it now, it can be held over, you know, for this project, because we haven't done it, that doesn't mean we don't keep it for this project. So they were saying that, and then saying that this is the mayor's budget, you know what I mean? Like, it will go, resort tax will go to the mayor.
Yep.
But he made a point of saying, you know, this is his budget, not city council. So, I just want to say that.
The city council will approve.
Yeah, no, he can write his budget, but we can then amend it.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to come, I mean, like, I understand, like, I like this stuff too, you know, and like, just kind of paying attention, but I think it's good to really truly define who the applicant is.
Yep.
Because if you're looking at an individual group, that seems like it should, like, there's very much a push from elected officials, some elected officials, or appointed officials, to get this one project done.
Yeah.
And I think in this process, it's very important for everybody to know who might be able to look at that application, like, who is it? Because it's very muddy right now, whether it's the city or it's Red Lodge Ice on that particular project. So I think somehow being able to define in there so that we're all comparing apples to apples.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
No, I get that. The one thing in terms of identifying who the applicant is and some of that muddy waters, and then we'll get back to trying to get application 3 a little bit more fleshed out, and then we gotta go. But specifically, God, an hour is never enough. And it's,
Leaving my 3 minutes at the end.
oh, and we don't do 3 minutes at this one, but let me just, I'm gonna address the muddy, and then I'm gonna get to the application, and then I'm more than happy, to, like, if you have something for this as well, I'm more than happy to chat. Okay, so with the muddy, part of our issue with that is just Red Lodge on a whole is a bit muddy of who's all doing what. And I'm not trying to, like, push off blame from members of the city, but it's just with such a small community with people wearing so many hats and being involved with so many different pieces. Because again, even though Red Lodge Ice is the driver, there's also an entire group of individuals also working for that, trying to move things forward and with the best of intentions. And like, again, you have the chamber involved, you have the community foundation involved, specifically working with Red Lodge Ice because they were a fiscal sponsor for years and years. And you have all of these different organizations trying to help build each other up. So at some point, it's gonna be muddy. And, you know, I think actually what we can add to this versus necessarily having, and we have it included in another section of here, is your letters of support and letters of recommendation. It might be worth adding in here, like, not committee members. I mean, obviously, if there's a committee, we could put in committee members, but what would, like, not benefactors, but advocates, other advocate groups or partnerships, stakeholders?
That might be too loose, but.
But, yeah, well, yeah, because they're all,
Yeah.
no, I would,
Supporters?
Yeah, supporters. Again, I think partners might be the, because
Partners
again,
and stakeholders, but.
yeah, partners and stakeholders is a good way. And then we'll also have letters of support as well, which can come from anybody and everyone.
right.
But I think having some sort of partnerships in there as well might be beneficial, because then, again, when you have two groups wanting to work for the same goal, but with different results, like, I think about if it were Red Lodge Ice and if, you know, Farmers Market was really backing it because they wanted the pad. Like, if they really fully partnered up and, like, wanted to be that connecting piece, then you can kind of, it helps build a clear picture.
Because I spoke to it, like, one of the board members at the Community Foundation, and he told me he felt like it was misrepresented to the board. That there was, in many of their opinions, after the fact, they've now said, well, there's not room there to shove it into that park.
Right.
Like, we didn't realize that that was their only option, was that they were going to shove it into that small park.
Right.
And so when I think about things like that, I think there's a difference on support of a project and support of a project in a specific location that has, you know, so
Right.
much impact. And I would almost think somewhere that needs to be addressed, because one of the things that people are in support of Red Lodge Ice getting a full-scale rink,
Mhm.
somewhere that, you know, makes sense for 20 years down the road.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that doesn't, right now, it looks like everybody's pegged against each other, like, we're fully against this. But we also know, like, they raised, what, $6 million for the pool or something, you know, like, whatever that ended up costing. You know, the tennis has already raised several $100,000. You know, they raised their funds for pickleball. And so I think it could be, and I think one of the things on those applications is, you know, is this a divisive issue? You know what I mean? Because I think that, you know, that could be a big defining thing too, like, would more people support it, you know?
Except that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things. I don't think this needs to go into as much detail as, well, I don't want it to overlap with the duties that the steering committee for the grant that might pay for this ice rink
Yeah.
needs to do. Like, they have their due diligence, and if they decide it's something they're not gonna fund because of all of those reasons and more, perhaps, then it doesn't even need to come to us
Yeah.
at that point.
Mhm.
I think but either way, like Tom has said in meetings, this is happening regardless, is what he specifically said on a meeting. And so kind of knowing, like, is this an issue that's gonna come up in 2 years, 5 years? So I think on these applications, it should be like, is this a possibly divisive issue?
So,
And should maybe require, you know, like down to the next step, whatever that is.
So one of
You know
the
what I mean?
things that we did also include on this in terms of the community impact and some of the pieces that have to be evaluated throughout the process is specifically the community benefit statement. Does it engage or improve the underserved population with a lack of access? Does it hurt or take away from another population, displace them?
Mhm.
Historic use, previous applications, is it grassroots?
Mm-hmm.
Radius of impact, casual, individual users, lighting plans, letters of support, seasonality, and year-round use, intended use. So again, we have a
We have
pretty
a-
detailed list of
Yeah.
things that we want included to actually be able to create
Yeah.
that Red Lodge standard. And I think that's what we should work on for Jeremy is, this is the Red Lodge standard, how would you have that about, yes, sorry. That's gonna kill me by the end of this year.
We've got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
5.
So with that, just
Yeah.
know that is, and one of the pieces that we had discussed as well is requiring for some of the large-scale second-tier and third-tier applications to have community impact surveys.
Yeah.
And also going through, and the same way that when you have a race or an event in Red Lodge that you have to, like, for instance, the
Yeah.
fun run, they have to go to every single business and homeowner that's on that route and get a signature saying that they've been notified, and
Yeah.
also if there's, like, I think they have to get so many levels of support, or if there's anybody that's in disapproval, that has to be reported as well. So that's one of the features that we already have with our event applications. So we're trying not to reinvent the wheel and
Yeah.
apply a lot of our other pieces.
Yeah.
Because some of the other factors we want to include in this is a standardized MOU that has special conditions and provisions included.
Yes.
So you have all the standard rules that you need to have for every MOU, and then for specific standard use, you have additional documentation that gets added to that. You have additional review process for actual community impacts and going through and having those conversations with your neighbors. Having certain amount of presentations that you do the same way that you see over at the Roosevelt Center for like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
With the same meetings of how many trails do we want in Red Lodge, sorry.
Seriously.
I mean that in the most positive way, but
Yeah.
God, I can tell you what every single one of those meetings outcomes are gonna be. Like, so,
Yeah.
but seriously, having those steps and processes, but having it on a tiered scale, because it's also not fair to ask disc golf if they want to extend for one hole to be like, okay, we need a PAR, you have to go
Yeah.
through, do this,
Yeah.
that, the other. So,
That's where I think these off-ramps make so much more sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there isn't a big impact and the user groups, and it's not like a huge change, then that should off-ramp and just happen.
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we're talking very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's really important that, and also for, you know, like our side that's trying to, you know, like make sure that it's not just rammed in just based on a few people's decision, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that there's deep thought and consideration and looking at all of the impacts, quality of life impacts, everything. And yeah, I mean, this is a serious,
Oh, yeah.
this is serious.
By
Yeah.
the same token, I don't, and this is the ice rink now, but it'll be something else later. I
Yeah.
don't want to cripple our process such that anytime there's anyone with a little bit of naysaying, it's just done.
Right,
Yeah.
because yeah, exactly.
Like, we
There,
don't want that either.
it is
Yeah.
gonna be,
That's the
it's,
balance of-
that's
I would
the
say
balance
that's
of Red
not
Lodge,
this,
it's gonna
though, 'cause
be.
there's a lot more than a few.
No, and
names.
again,
But the
we're
point
not
being-
trying to use Red Lodge
I
as
just want
an
our
example.
process to be workable for
Yeah.
all the
It needs to be
citizens.
workable, but also when you're looking at, how many adjoining properties there are,
Mm-hmm.
you do have to look, I mean, there's a lot of adjoining properties, whether you're actually adjoining the park or you're directly across from the park. You know, like, that does have serious impact versus like a piece of land, you know, that has, you know, really no new neighbors. Or, you know, no neighbors like around it if you're looking at a raw piece of land. Those two very different.
There's gonna be a lot of pieces, I can't think of a lot of pieces of land that don't have neighbors at this point.
But I mean, like
Unfortunately.
Highway 78, you've got the state highway and you've got that county road, which is really what Airport Road is.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
But there-
And anything that's accessible is gonna.
Yeah.
It's gonna have, right, exactly. So, all right, it is
All right.
5:31. Do we have, no, just, we both have meetings after, so.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's true. I do have a meeting here very soon. So I did want to hear what you have to say, and then we're gonna have to wrap it.
So I wrote a letter of intent, did you get that from the mayor?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, well, he said he would put it in your packet.
Oh,
Oh,
we are,
If
yeah,
it's
we
in the
are,
packet, that will be our next go-around, so yes.
Yes.
So we're a little early on our meeting this.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah,
if
I'm
was
leaving
happening.
town for 10 days, and we wanted to get.
we wanted to make sure that we had enough time for all of us to discuss it.
Well, we are, this is totally separate from everything. We are encroaching on city land with a fence line.
Okay.
So is this something?
No.
You just threw me. And so my letter of intent is, it's not long, should I just quickly read it? Just, it's asking the city, we live on 215 Nutting Road,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and we have property line encroachment. We have had our property surveyed by Red Lodge Surveying, and to show the encroachment. And, we would like to address this,
Okay.
and we want either, to grant a permanent easement for the encroached area, or just a property line via a deed or land transfer is permissible on the city property. We want to formalize an arrangement,
Okay.
by supporting responsible use and avoiding future disputes.
Okay.
So we need to know where to go next. We've done our due diligence to get the survey done, but now what? Where do we go with this? So I made a mistake last week, and I thought to went to Public Works, and we started it, and they're like, no. you go-
Oh, of course they did.
Am I supposed to go to city council? So they told me to come here.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I think, I don't want to push the book, but in terms of it, we'll probably need to discuss this with the planner
Okay.
and see how he, that's
I think I
perfect.
got my easement on there.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, yeah, and
And I
it's,
think Julie got a copy of that too at some point.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, I have seen this name come through. So I think we just need to get this to the city planner and
Okay.
essentially get his recommendation. And, because we've done encroachments and that type of thing before, but generally, again, above our pay grade in terms of the process of it. And then, but we're generally the ones to sign off and approve it and to kind of
Okay.
move that along.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to get it to city staff to where but now that you have it to here, we can at least get it to Jeremy, not this Jeremy.
The other Jeremy.
Again, brutal.
Is there a sense of like urgency from your point of
Well-
view? Like, is there a time frame that is?
So we're adjacent to the property that the,
It's been 100 years.
yeah, we've
So,
been there. It's,
Yeah.
we replaced the fence line where it was. It's a long story, but we are being like kind of targeted because of the trail proposal.
Okay.
And
You're in
we're
the
in on that
vicinity of-
property.
You're in that area.
Attention,
We're,
for sure.
we abut that property and we are encroaching on that hillside, so.
Okay.
You know, we wanna do our due diligence and do the right thing,
Make it right.
make it right.
Excellent, well, thank you for that.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Millie, did you have something, or Becky, or?
Nope, just listening. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I do have one more question
Okay.
quickly. I have a letter that I want to put in the agenda for the city council meeting.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And where do I need to send this letter to?
Lonnie, yep, the city clerk.
Clerk at Red
Yeah.
Lodge.
Just right inside?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. You could probably even leave it on that desk with sticky notes, so please put it in package.
Well,
But
I will.
I would recommend doing it. Email would probably be the best way to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, we can do that, thank
That,
you.
and so that's the process for actually getting it.
Yeah,
on
yep,
the-
and it just has to be put in, I think it's the Thursday prior to the city council meeting. So, because the council meeting's agenda is published the Friday before.
Correct. And you can always CC it to the council members too.
Yeah.
Are you asking it for it to be on an agenda or just to be in the packet?
Well, I think it's gonna be on the agenda anyway. Well,
It's about
it's the parks,
trail.
it's about the parks trail.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's,
I think it's-
yeah, and I believe
Yeah.
that'll be already on the packet.
Okay.
Okey dokey. Well, I'm gonna stop this share, and I'm gonna let you close out that meeting.